All right, man, peace. So Blake Griffin, formerly of the Los Angeles Clippers, started his career out as being one of the brightest young stars in the NBA. He quickly gained fame for his ability to execute a lot of exciting dunks. He won the slam dunk contest, and he was expected to be at the vanguard of the Clippers' resurgence in the NBA. Of course, it didn't work out. He ended up getting traded to the Detroit Pistons. But I have newfound respect for Mr. Blake Griffin. Not so much for how he handles himself on the court, but for how he chose to handle himself in his quote-unquote relationship with a female who clearly had financial plans that were predicated around pimping him out. And he did not comply. He decided that he was going to stipulate to the female in question, the mother of his child, that if they were going to get married, that he was going to have her sign a prenuptial agreement, which shows what? That he understands that marriage is a financial contract. It is a corporate transaction, a merger between two corporations who the government has regular people in America thinking are flesh and blood human beings. They don't consider you a flesh and blood human being. They consider you a mini corporation. That's what you are. If your name is John Smith, they view you as John Smith Incorporated. So when you marry Jane, you become John and Jane Smith. When she decides that she no longer wants to be a part of your corporation, she has the right to take 50% of the assets. Blake Griffin clearly understands that. Once again, brothers, I don't make videos to tell you brothers what to do. I make videos to show you my perspective. If it adds on to your life lexicon, so be it. Great thing. But please understand that when you decide to sign that contract with that person, I can't even say that woman anymore because this freaky ass society that we in, you don't know who's marrying who for what reason. Please understand that you are divesting control of 50% of your financial means to that other person. If and when they decide to leave for whatever reason, they don't even really have to substantiate. So good for Blake Griffin for understanding that. Anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Blake Griffin's girlfriend just went scorched earth on the NBA star, blasting him as a guy who left her homeless and abandoned their family for Kendall Jenner. And it's all spilled out of documents that we've got. Welcome to TMZ Sports. Evan here with Van and Michael J. Babcock.
What's up? What up?
It's been a busy morning ever since Bryn Cameron filed this lawsuit against Blake Griffin. Now, Bryn Cameron and Blake have been dating for a very long time, a little over 8 years.
Yeah, they were dating. Apparently, things came to a crashing halt, and Blake traded her in for a reality, so that's what she...
Let me say this. When a man is quote-unquote dating a female for 8 years, that is his wife. She may not be his wife in regards to the corporate societal dynamic that we have here in America. But in regards to the rapport and the relationship that he has with that female, that is his wife. So it is amazing that him trying to stipulate that she signed a prenuptial agreement is what, in her mind, necessitated that she eradicate their relationship by making even more demands on him, which showed him that it was time for him to move on. What that conveyed to him is that the relationship was a sham the whole time and she was just being very patient. And brothers, please understand the patience of anyone, not just a woman, but anyone, when you have something that they want. Don't be shocked. Don't be startled. Don't marvel at the patience of someone when they are trying to stalk out the terrain and evaluate how they're going to get from you what they want. Like I always say on this channel incessantly, all love is loyalty and sacrifice. If somebody's with you, they're going to be with you. They don't need a piece of paper. If the piece of paper is a make or break in your quote-unquote relationship, then you never had a real relationship to begin with. That's why it's so important to maintain that real rapport, that real relationship with the Most High, in the truest sense of the term, because the Most High is a spirit. That's why he does not change. He's not prone to weakness. That's what the flesh brings. The flesh brings weakness. It brings whimsicality. The spirit has none of that. The spirit has no weakness. It has no flaws. So when you're dealing with people in the flesh, you have to expect weakness at certain points. So it's not about whether a person has weaknesses or not. It's about whether or not their weaknesses are going to impact your life and to what degree. Point being is this: Blake Griffin executed a very wise stratagem to have her sign or attempt to sign that prenuptial agreement. Most likely advice that he got from his father.
That's what she's saying.
Yeah, she said, well, they have 2 kids together. We should say that first off. And she says that they were engaged to be married and were supposed to be married July of 2017. But a week before the wedding, he pulled the plug because he asked her to sign a prenup. And she's like, whoa, 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 no way. Because we've been dating all this time and you promised that you would always take care of me.
Okay, and if you intend on staying with him and maintaining the same relationship and the same rapport that you guys have had for the last 8 years, a prenup should not be a problem for you. Because you don't plan on changing up after the contract is signed, right? The only reason why a prenup would be an issue for someone who's been with another person in a quote-unquote relationship for 8 years is if the entire 8 years has been an acting job and you plan on changing up once you execute that contract. That's the only reason why the contract known as a prenuptial agreement would be an issue. The only reason. Because if he has taken care of you for 8 years without a contract at all, why would a certain aspect of the marriage contract be a problem for you? These are things that brothers have to pay very close attention to. If you end up in a dynamic with a female where you decide that you want to quote unquote marry her, meaning engage in a corporate merger, hopefully you'll be intelligent enough to have her try to sign a prenuptial agreement. And if she decides that she does not want to do that, that's a sign to you that she has ulterior motives. She has another plan other than being with you, quote unquote, for life, which is allegedly what marriage in this society is supposed to be about, allegedly. But we know that's not the case. Forever is basically until someone decides that they're going to change their mind. Please understand and embrace the concept that nothing in the flesh is permanent. That will stop you from tomfoolery, nonsense, balderdash, etc.
And that our stuff was equal, and I quit my job for you to raise our children, and that any money that you make, this $173 million contract that you signed, we're supposed to split equally so we can raise our family together. And
no, that's not how that works. The $173 million contract is only split if he signs the contract with her and she signs it with him. That would divest 50% of the proceeds from his earnings to her. It's not predicated off of the fact that she quit her job and is taking care of the 2 children that they had together. But brothers, do you see the sense of entitlement that many of these modern day females have? They actually believe that if they're able to find a man who is quote unquote rich and living high off the hog like a Blake Griffin, that they're entitled to have his money just because they brought forth his seed. That's why I make videos about guarding your seed and protecting your seed and being very scrupulous when you decide to choose a woman and you want to inseminate her and bring forth another life into the world. That life is a financial asset. Please understand that we live in a commercial society. They do not look at you as a flesh and blood human being. They look at you as a stock option. That's all you are. When you bring a child into the world, that child is a stock option. A lot of females have figured out the commercial aspect of this society quicker than many of you men have.
together. And he's like, look, according to her, he said, sign this document or I'm calling off the wedding. And she said, I'm not signing the document. So that...
You see Blake Griffin threw up the Manu Cornuto hand sign there? Let me rewind it back a little bit.
So the day, a week... Look, according to her, he said, sign this document or I'm calling off the wedding.
There you go right there. Once again, brothers, many of these top-level athletes are in the craft. The entertainment industry, they venerate the entity known today as the Baphomet. In the ancient world was known as Pan, before that Khnum. Okay? So, that is the image of the beast, the so-called goat god of Revelation, the 13th chapter. Many brothers claim that it is Caesar Borgia. Please understand that the Caesar Borgia image is basically just a reinvigoration of the image of Alexander the Greek and later Ptolemy, known as Serapis Christus. All right, or Serapis Heru, which is just a Macedonian version of Heru. But prior to that, the main image that was venerated was that of the quote-unquote goat god, who was known as Benebdejet Khnum, Pan, right, by the Celts, Cernunnos. I always constantly reiterate this because it's not enough that you know what it is. You also have to understand the inner workings so that you can get a grasp of the idiosyncrasies of what many of these people do, because they try to sneak certain things past you in plain sight. Okay? But when you get involved in a Hollywood world like Blake Griffin, being a member of the LA Clippers, they do get introduced to it. And the way that they get subjugated by those philosophies is that they promise women, any woman that they want, they can get. Whenever you see these dudes start getting mentioned alongside the Kardashians, they are venerating the Baphomet. You cannot get involved with the Kardashians and not be a venerator of the Baphomet. So that's why I noted a long time ago that they are a witch coven. They take men's souls and put them in a little bag, throw them in the closet, never to be seen again. Okay? That's how that works.
And she said, I'm not signing the document. So a week before the wedding, he calls it off, goes to Vegas, immediately starts dating Kendall Jenner, and she says she only found out about the...
And look at Kendall Jenner. Let me rewind it back a little bit.
Kendall Jenner starts dating Kendall Jenner.
Look at Kendall Jenner. This shit got all type of pimples all around her mouth. She looked like if she took those 5 layers of makeup off, you never know what the hell some of these broads look like under that caked up makeup. I look like damn Freddy Krueger.
And she says she only found out about the Kendall Jenner thing on social media.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty tough.
That's as bad as it gets. Her whole world came crashing down. Literally, in a week, you think you're going to be married, then that person's gone, and they are off in Vegas, and they're dating a famous model.
No, sir. She crashed her own world down because he would not submit to her delusions of grandeur. He would not slide down the rabbit hole that she had dug for him into her own private wonderland. He would not walk through her looking glass. Brothers, please understand that the female is not an entity of reality. When I say I mean in general. In general, the female is not dealing with reality. She's dealing with her own understanding, her own concept of life and what it should be about. And that normally entails a total lack of accountability and culpability for her. It doesn't matter to her what's going on with the man that's in her life, because the man in her life, as she views it, is just a bit actor, a bit player who can be replaced. That is why Beyonce came out with that song, I Could Have Another You in a Minute. That's part of the spell casting that was put forth on many modern day young females to help provide more sustenance for that mentality. That the man is just a bit player. He can be replaced. He's like a Mr. Potato Head. Just take off the head, put on another head on the same body. Blake Griffin decided that he was not going to conform to that ideology, that he was just another man in a long line who was going to give her what she wanted because allegedly she quit her job for him. No, you quit your job because he was the most viable option to help you live an affluent life. You gave him 2 children. He gave you a relaxed life, and you'll still have a relaxed life. Even if you just have those 2 kids and all he gives you is child support, you're never going to have to worry about a thing again at least until they get to be 18. That's really what you're mad about. You were hoping that if you signed that marriage contract, and he did, and there was no prenuptial agreement involved, that you'd be able to string him out as long as you wanted. And then whenever you decided, you could leave him and maybe even grab you another baller. That's how that was supposed to work.
Well, her whole world came crashing down.
Yeah, so what does she want now? Now, she's saying that she was an integral part.
What she wants is what she was unable to get, his soul. She couldn't get his soul because he outsmarted her. He wasn't thinking with his heart. He was thinking with his brain. And that's what I tell brothers all the time. In relationships in the flesh, you have to love with your brain, not your heart. That means what? You do whatever you can to make sure that the positive energy in the relationship is maintained. You conduct yourself responsibly. You have to love your partner. Like the scriptures say, you must be willing to give your life for your wife, as long as she's a wife. That's why, once again, you must execute great discretion in picking the woman The average woman is an actress. And I know a lot of people are going to get mad at that. I don't give a shit. The average woman is an actress. But are there good women out there? Absolutely. But anything of value that you find, you have to dig deep into the ground. Right? You're looking for gold. You're looking for silver. You're looking for diamonds. You're looking for oil. You must dig deep into the ground to find it. It's not growing on trees. It's not easy to find. Same thing with a good woman. Right? That's why the scriptures tell you a good woman is worth more than rubies. Right? That's how it goes. So you're not supposed to give yourself over to a light woman. The scriptures tell you that as well. In Ecclesiastes, the 7th chapter. You don't give yourself to a light woman, meaning a woman who's not about shit. You must use discretion.
Part of the Blake Griffin business, that she was there to help him strategize about career decisions, about basketball stuff. She helped get him his personal trainer, his personal chef. That she would set up appointments for him, help him strategize in his production company outside back.
And according to her, and most probably according to you, that means that she deserves half of his $173 million, which is what? About $86 million? She believed that she deserves $87 million because she helped Blake Griffin find his personal trainer. Blake Griffin was the #1 pick in the NBA draft before he even met her. I don't think that conditioning was a problem for him before he got in the NBA. As a matter of fact, one could make the case that he needs to find a new personal trainer because he's had a lot of injury problems the last 4 or 5 years.
Basketball.
Well, yeah, aside from what Blake did on the basketball court, he was also one of the most marketable athletes off the court, had a lot of endorsements, yeah.
She claims she was a huge part of that. And so she says right now she's homeless because Blake has stopped paying her money to take care of their kids, and she's had to go to her family members to ask for money to keep her afloat. Now remember...
Well, that sounds like a you problem. All you had to do was sign a prenup. You'd have been in there like swimwear. Been living in a nice mansion and everything. You decided that you wanted to go for the gusto and be greedy. You wanted to have options. You wanted to have the ability to leave him at a moment's notice and take half his money with you. You wanted to have his balls in a sling. And he wasn't having it. That's why I give him a lot of credit. Him or his advisor, most likely his dad. He saw it coming. Why would I allow you to marry me and give you access to 50% of my income when I'm bringing in 100% of the income and believe that you deserve half just because you're taking care of the children? Well, that's your job. So if Blake Griffin hires a maid and she spends her day cleaning the house, does that mean that after a while she believed that she should be entitled to half his money because she's been cleaning his house? That's her service. That's what she's there for. So good for him.
Remember, she also has a kid with Matt Leinart. So she has 3 kids.
I told you guys, she's an athlete jumper. A lot of these females are operating like that. That's why she didn't want to sign the prenup. She wanted to marry him, probably stay with him another 2 or 3 years. She probably never liked him. Blake comes off to me as a guy who should just stay single because he does not seem like the marriage or the quote-unquote relationship type. Many of these females today don't know what they're looking for in a real relationship, and he just seems to be a guy who wants to act like he's a comedian and jump from woman to woman and go from one club to another. He should just stay single if that's the case. That's if he can recover his soul. Had one woman trying to take his balls, the other female, the Kardashian, wants to take his soul if they have not already. So he's going from from a light fire to a flame to an inferno. So good luck to him.
2 with Blake Griffin, 1 with Matt Leinart, and she's like, I can't afford to take care of my kids and live the life that we were living before. I need to borrow money from my family. That's not fair because you have, over $170 million.
Damn. Blake Griffin got a so-called black father. Damn baby like the Gerber baby. Ain't that a bitch?
$1 million or something like that, you need to start paying up. And that's why she's suing him. She wants palimony. She wants a judge to basically say, you deserve half. Even though they weren't technically married, she's arguing we operated as a married couple, and therefore the payout from him should be treated like a married couple.
Well, if you operated as a married couple, then you should not have felt compelled to not want to sign a prenuptial agreement. Because I'm going to state with a good deal of empirical data 8 years worth, that you were willing to stay with him without a marriage contract. So why would a stipulation like prenuptial agreement be the make or break for you unless you had an ulterior motive once you got him to agree to marry you? It's obvious that you were just being very patient.
Couple. This is what I'm saying. Number one, they were in a relationship. He asked her to sign a prenuptial agreement. She said no. He set his foot down. So, in a way, she made the decision to end their relationship.
Thank you, sir.
But if there's proof that they had an oral agreement, as she claims in her lawsuit, that she was going to quit her job and focus on raising their kid, that they had that arrangement together, don't you think that he should honor that then? Because those are 10 years from her life that she could have been building a career and she didn't.
Well, I'm sure that he's going to honor it in the form of child support payments, which will be her next step. But plan A is seeing if she can drag him through the Caucasian man's court system, the taxation system, which is really all the judicial system is. She's going to see if she can get him to give her the tribute money that they call child support. After she sees that she cannot get half his finances in some way, shape, or form, utilizing some type of chicanery. Maybe claim that they made an oral agreement that she would get half his money because she quit her job and she's acting as a quote-unquote live-in wife. And when that doesn't work, then she'll just run him through the child support system. Either way, she's going to be okay. Believe me. The thing is, she wanted to be set for life. If she can only deal with the child support, she's only going to be set for until her children turn to be 18 or get to be 18 or whatever the child support laws are in California.
Once again, it's not all 10 years because during that 10 years, she had a baby with Matt Leinart.
Right. But she says that she started dating Blake right after she broke up with Matt Leinart.
No, she started dating Blake before she broke up with Matt Leinart. Believe me, she already had Blake in her sights before she left Matt Leinart. That's why she started to turn on Matt Leinart, because she had Blake already in her sights. That's normally how that goes.
To that case, when she met Blake Griffin was at least the biggest college basketball star in the world. And some would say he probably was already in the NBA.
If he tells her to stop her career, quit your job, and you're going to help me, and we're going to build me up, and I'm going to become this huge basketball player,
what kind of chain is Blake wearing? What the hell is going on? Blake looked like one of his hooded out teammates took him to the jewelry store and try to get him to, dress with a little more swag and tricked him into buying that bullshit. This motherfucker really got on a real chain.
And then she does that, and because of that, he gets this monstrous contract, and she has nothing else professionally because he told her to leave her job. It's not fair to her.
So we're then to assume that because of Brent Cameron, Blake Griffin got a monstrous contract.
But Blake, at least according to the lawsuit, Blake valued her opinion because he told her, leave your job and help me. And in the lawsuit, she said she counseled him. She basically had him navigate.
Well, that's good. So now we know that whenever you give a rich person advice, that means that you deserve half their money. That's a good precedent to set.
Navigate situations with his teammates.
Which
she helped.
So she hasn't said the amount of money that she specifically wants, but she's clearly gunning for a lot. She says that Blake...
Obviously, she's gunning for half. She wants to have enough to live on. That's all it's about. Brothers, once again, please understand this. Please understand the difference between love and convenience. Love is loyalty and sacrifice. That's what it is. All right. Love is loyalty and sacrifice. You have many people who are quote unquote couples today out of convenience, meaning this is my best option. This is my best option. Love is loyalty and sacrifice. All right. You and your significant other walking down the street. Somebody jumps out, pulls a gun on your significant other, and you jump in front of them and take the bullet. That's love. Convenience is something different. Convenience is you have a great job. This female is with you for status. And as soon as you hit hard times, she bails. That's convenience. Or vice versa. You're with a female because she's beautiful. God forbid something happens to her. Say she gets caught in a fire, she gets burned up, and you decide to leave her because she no longer is arm candy. That is convenience. That's not love. So please understand the difference. When you see situations like this, the reason why she did not want to sign the prenuptial agreement is because she was with him for convenience. She saw an easy mark. She met him while he was still Pretty much in the last legs of his college days, she already understood that he was going to be a top pick in the draft. A lot like the Lala and Carmelo Anthony issue. Lala knew what she had. She had a young fish who didn't understand what was going on, and she gamed him and was able to sucker him into marriage.
Blake promised to take care of her for the rest of her life, and she seeks to get a judge to back her up on that. But there's a lot more in this lawsuit.
Yeah, good luck, Brent.
Another huge bombshell that came out of this Blake Griffin situation is Bryn Cameron says that Blake Griffin had a horrible, toxic relationship with some of his Clippers teammates.
See, this is why you have to be careful what you confide in your so-called significant other. No, you should confide just enough that will make them understand that you're willing to confide in them, but not enough that the information can be turned on you in a crucial moment. Blake Griffin informed his former living girlfriend, the mother of his children, that he had issues with his teammates. Allegedly, she gave him advice on how to handle it. And now that their relationship is going down the tubes, she's going to reveal to the world the exact dimensions of the problems that he had with Chris Paul and some of the other members of the Clippers.
Specifically Chris Paul,
wow.
And that things were so messed up and he was such a quote-unquote man-child when it came to dealing with awkward situations that he would give teammates the silent treatment and that Doc Rivers would have to have private one-on-one meetings to resolve things before Blake got shipped out of Los Angeles into the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no secret that Blake Griffin and Chris Paul didn't like each other, but his conduct, as far as why they didn't like each other and like what he was actually doing, it sheds a lot of light on it.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Some people, like a Blake Griffin, that type of personality, sometimes they choose to ignore people because they don't want to be bothered with the dumb shit. Sometimes they've never been put in an environment like that, where in the NBA, where you have hyper-competitive personalities that get off on conflict and resolution. It's almost like a dysfunctional relationship. People like Blake Griffin, sometimes they can't handle it. And I always used to tell brothers this back in the day when I worked in corporate America. When you start working at a certain job, you should be very cognizant of the image that you portray for yourself. If you allow it to be established that you're a dude who's going to tolerate bullshit, then people will try to walk all over you. So it's up to you, the image that you want to establish in your workplace environment. When Blake Griffin first came into the NBA, he allowed certain guys to punk him, Zach Randolph, etc. So when it got to the point where he would try to stand up for himself, nobody took him seriously. From the jump, you have to establish to those around you that there are going to be ramifications if you intend on overstepping your bounds. Blake didn't do that, most likely because he was raised in a very serene environment. He wasn't used to the type of dysfunctionality that you'll see in a league like the NBA, where you might have certain players who were raised or come from a background that, once again, was dysfunctional, where it was customary for them to get involved in altercations for the littlest reasons, or to try to establish who the quote-unquote alpha male is in an environment or in an atmosphere. So I won't say I feel for Blake. That's part and parcel of your job. You're a millionaire. You have to know already. Your father should have informed you. People are going to try to test you. You might have to throw hands early on to let them know this is how it can go.
Yeah, I feel like this had been talked about a lot, that there was infighting with the team, but to hear it from his fiance and to know that this was actually happening is crazy.
So what she says in the lawsuit was that Blake felt like the team was being ripped away from him when they brought Chris Paul to the team because Chris Paul was such a vocal presence in the locker room and the media and was better known for his drive to win and dedication to both team building.
Well, the team was supposed to be converted over to Chris Paul. He's the point guard, right? He's the point guard and the resident pan worshiper. Him and his wife who got the inverted pentagram, who has the inverted pentagram tattooed on her back. But that's a whole other story for another day.
team building and family values. So he was upset with Chris Paul and was upset that like he was kind of coming in and like taking the team away from Blake Griffin. So she said she counseled Blake on how to lead in his own way, but the relationship between Griffin and other teammates still became toxic. Rivers had to mediate disputes in private meetings with the players. Griffin did not know how to handle confrontation and would go silent when things did not go his way. To change the dynamic, Bryn says that she would coach Blake on how to communicate his issues better. But clearly it didn't resolve well because they ended up shipping him to Detroit anyway.
Exactly. So if she was his advisor, she shouldn't be bragging about it because nothing worked out in the end. His reputation took a steep downturn, especially in the latter part of his tenure with the Clippers. So if anything, if he was going to acknowledge that she was his guru, his Svengali, his advisor, he'd really be saying, you know, I should be suing her because she had me up in Detroit now.
But anyway,
everybody got traded.
Yeah.
So all she was talking about how she made him into who he was, it's obvious there's a flaw in that because nothing that she told him to do worked. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin have a notoriously poor relationship.
And let me say this, brothers, once again, if you have to take advice from a woman, that means that you did not do a good enough job of accumulating wisdom as you were growing up. Don't get me wrong. If you're in a close relationship with a lady, there's going to be points where she might advise you of certain things because she really has your best interest at heart. She has your back. She's going to say, babe, watch out for this, or babe, watch out for that. That's natural. But if you constantly have to refer to a woman to give you advice like she's your mother, that's not a good sign.
And even still do to this day. We saw that earlier in the game.
So Chris Paul goes to Houston and leaves, but the issues with Blake are still there. All the team basically gets shipped out and goes. I think she's kind of intimating in this lawsuit that Blake Griffin is the reason that Doc Rivers is hitting the reset button on the whole Clippers team.
Well, no. She can intimate that. I'm not saying that she's not intimating that. She most likely is blaming Blake, but he's not the reason that the team is being reset. The team is being reset because Jerry West understands that the formula that they had was not good enough to win any championship, not in today's current NBA climate.
Well, obviously, I mean, listen, when a talent like that gets traded, the organization has clearly made a decision that it prioritizes one thing over the other. And in this case, they prioritized Doc Rivers' leadership over Blake Griffin's play on the court. And that spoke volumes even then, man.
Yeah,
well, for now. But Jerry West could remove Doc Rivers at the end of the season. Who knows? They've already stopped him from being a GM.
Well, she's saying that he's the kind of person who can't get along with his teammates, can't communicate, he's a pain in the ass, and we don't like working with him. That's the...
All that means is that he's not a leader. But the problem with Blake is that he wants to dribble at the top of the key too much. And his game is a very strange game. He's got a power forward's body, but he wants to play like a point guard. But he can't stretch the floor because he can't hit threes. So he really needs to play on a team with a great point guard where he's mature enough to accept his role, and also with great shooters. But we'll see what happens in Detroit.
That's the takeaway that I get from Bryn Cameron's lawsuit here.
Yeah, she doesn't like him.
Yeah, it's a bad look for Blake today.
But she's also saying that the team felt the same way, but I get that she's trying to make a point because she's got millions of dollars at stake.
Yeah, listen, he's got a lot of money. And I think that if Blake was being smart, he'd get her on the old Selly.
Oh, he should have got her on the Selly before she put this out.
Western Union some money, like, send it over. Send it over with me. Like, send it over.
Put it in the Kia and drive it over.
Right.
Well, you know what? It's probably a little bit too late for Blake to send her any money. What he's going to have to do is take it to court. If I was him, I would take it to court. And she would have to prove beyond a shadow of doubt that she deserves something other than child support. She would have to prove that she was an integral part in the decision-making in Blake Griffin's life. And I don't think that she's going to be able to do that. But anyway, kudos to Blake Griffin for standing his ground. Many females will try to play chicken with a man like that by stating that I've been with him for 8 years and held him down. If I hold my ground, he's going to relent and allow me to marry him or engage in this corporate merger without making me sign a prenuptial agreement, which will put me in a position of power. And it's good that he maintains some form of dignity and manhood by making her sign a contract. But anyway, peace.